Hi everyone. Today I am presenting Tiki-Toki Timeline Maker, which is an educational technology that I found on Common Sense Education's website. So this tool was vetted through Common Sense Education. It was in their list of most popular timeline maker software. It's not on the Poudre School District's approved software list. However, it was on Common Sense Education, and it has a pretty high rating in terms of student privacy. If I was working for a school, I would probably pass this along to the education technology people, have them vet this, and try and get it on our approved list of sites. So I'm logged in right now, and I'll show you what it takes to create an account. So how can I sign up? We just need a username, password, email, and your age, and a class code if you're on a certain type of account. I will get to that in just a sec. You also have to agree to their terms and conditions, and then you can sign up for a free account. So there are several different types of accounts. I am on a free account right now, which only lets you create one timeline, and you can share that timeline with others. There's also the teacher account. So this is a teacher account. It gives you a silver account for the teacher, which lets you create up to 25 timelines. And it gives you 50 accounts for students. Student accounts can be up to 5 timelines, and you can also group collaborate on timelines. It is a little expensive for the teacher account. However, you do only have to pay it once a year, but that is something to consider, is the cost. So once you've signed up, I'll go ahead and let us pause the video. We can sign up for Tiki-Toki Timeline Maker. And once you've signed up, you'll be on the free account. I've got a timeline in progress, and we are going to look at how to edit that. So right now, this is the account or the timeline that I'm on in my account. I'm making a timeline on the Council of Trent, which is a major event in the Catholic Reformation of the 16th century. This was a council convened in response to the Protestant Reformation. So when you open it, it gives you a bunch of admin guides for you as the editor. Let me scoot the screen over so you can see the whole thing. So it says this is the timeline that you're on. You can edit or create a new story. You can change the settings. You can add categories, and you can add spans. This means you can split the timeline and stuff like that. So we are going to go ahead and look at this first little tab that I've created. Go ahead and zoom in on this. Oh, zoomed in on the wrong place. Here we go. So it allows you to have your title. I've titled First Meeting of the Council. Your start date, which I made the 13th of December in 1545. Your end date, which can be different from your start date, but because this is a one-day event, I decided to keep it the same way. And your intro, this would be the text. Ooh. This would be the text that's on your timeline. You can also click on your timelines and it will bring up, you can click on your timelines and it will bring up a bigger picture. I wonder if I can move this. Sorry about that, folks. All right, so you can click on this and it will bring up First Meeting of the Council, which is our title. It has our date, and the first council led by Pope Paul III meets in Trent, Italy. We're going to skip over to the second one, which is the 8th of April. Same thing. We have our title, we have our information, we have our date, our title, and our information. We're going to go ahead and make a new slide. So go here, create a new story. We're going to title this Third Decree Issued. As you can see, when we make a new story, it puts it at the same date as our previous story. We're gonna have to change the date. So we'll go to our little handy date picker. And the third decree was issued in 1547. So I really like this because it has the calendar pulled up. We can see what the month of June looked like in 1547. But this was actually issued in January. So we're going to go back. January 13th. We'll click on that. It does present the date in the British way, which is day, month, year. You can change that and include just the year or just the month. We have day, month, year, numerical. You cannot edit it to flip that in a more American way, so that is something to consider for your students. So that is our date we've selected. And we're going to enter the information. So our information, I'm going off of my notes. During the 6th meeting, the council issued a decree on justification, the concept of the forgiveness of sin. So your student can enter their information in the intro box. If it gets too long, I'll just type some additional information so we can see. After you type a while, it'll start to erase itself from this to keep it sort of nice looking in a smaller box. But as we'll see, we can click on this and it'll bring up the full text. So then we have our category. I'm going to leave it undefined. You can add categories on the free version. And there's no link. So then we'll save that. And it now makes our third decree. So we can click on our more information. It'll bring up our full information. This decree is all Catholics can be forgiven of sin through service to God. So this was one of the decrees issued. We can go back. Decree number 2. Decree number 3. So I really like this because it lets your student be as detailed or as broad as you want. During this, there were lots of things going on in European history, not just the Council of Trent. Martin Luther, the leader of the Protestant Reformation, was still alive up until 1546. So if your student wanted to include the day Martin Luther died, they could put that in there. If they wanted to include any writings of further Protestant leaders in response to some of these decrees, they could do that. As you see, we can scroll along the bottom with this little tool. I'm going to skip all the way to the end. And if your student is just doing a timeline on the 16th century, you don't want them to include all of this information on each specific decree. You just want the day it started and the day it ended. You can do that. You can just have your student go to the end and say, let's make a new story at the very end. So we would want to go to, the 4th of December, 1563. We'll say Council of Trent ends. And we'll say the final meeting of the council, attended by over 200 Roman Catholic bishops. And we'll leave our category blank, we'll leave our link blank, and we'll save that. So we have our first meeting, we have our ending, and we can skip it between all of that. The ISTE standards that this meets, I felt that this met two of the ISTE standards, first being 1.1, which is empowered learners. Like I said, this encourages your students to be as detailed or as not detailed as you want them to. It helps them take their approach to learning in their own way. If you're giving your students free rein on what information to include, your very detailed students will definitely feel empowered through their to include as many details as they want in this long period of the Council of Trent, about 18 years. They can go in and include every decree, every death date for certain leaders. The Council of Trent outlived 4 popes, so you could put in the date that each pope began and each pope left office. So it's plenty of things for you to do. But like I said, if you're just trying to gloss over it in a bigger timeline, you can just have them put date started, date ended. This is also really cool for different content areas. If you were a language arts teacher and you had a book that had plenty of dates in there, you could have your students create timelines based on the dates in the book. We could, change the dates up to 1900 or the 1920s. We could do something with The Great Gatsby in the 1920s, or really anytime. For science, you could do timelines of scientific discoveries, Darwin to the creation of the atom bomb, or timelines of certain scientists' lives, like a timeline on the life of Isaac Newton. So there are plenty of options. In terms of adding media, the free accounts do not let you add images. However, I know that you can add images with the student version that you would get, or the teacher version that you would get.